there, Greg. Let's hold those fish, get you guys side by side. One of these gentlemen is about to become Bassmaster Classic champion. He is 35 pounds, 8 ounces. Needs 12.8 to win it. Is it Chris Lane or Greg Vinson looking for 12.8?
All right, guys, we got about 25 minutes left before takeoff, day one of the 2012 Bassmasters Classic here on the Red River. You can see there's a pretty massive crowd here just for takeoff, and it's pretty chilly. So we got some hardcore bass fishing fans here in Shreveport, Bossier City, and it's only a small indicator of what'll be there this afternoon. So I expect all of us to be able to catch some nice fish today and put on a show, and I'm hoping I can do my part. Wind sort of did a number on my mat in here. There was a lot more grass in here, or matted hyacinths, but right up here is a little mat that I got bit in practice, so kind of work my way up there to it and see if there's still some fish around there. There we go. Way to get started. Not a big one, but you got to start somewhere. He was getting out of town with that thing. About a 2-pounder maybe. Jumped on that little mad pocket. Let's get some more. That's a good sign. Still here. First fish of the 2012 Bassmasters Classic. I hope it's not the last one. I didn't even get it in the mat when he hit it. I just pitched up there by the mat. He was running off with it. Punched my bait down in it, but I've gotten a few bites just pitching this mad pocket in front of the stuff, so figured I'd try that first before I got in there too close to it. It's a real small little area, so I gotta try to get everything I can out of it. I hope there's still several fish in here. I felt they're in this area right here somewhere, but yesterday the wind blew so hard from that direction, and it's broken a lot of this mat. In practice, the mat was all the way out to those pad stems, so it laid across the ditch. And right now, just a little part of it's on the ditch, so there's still, you know, decent water under part of it, but
what attracts them to that?
This mat's it's kind of like a blanket. So in cold weather, it's absorbing heat when the sun shines on the surface, and then when you have a cold front, it holds that heat in just like a blanket. So they'll fish in real shallow water. Since they got to go so far to get back to deep water, they just prefer to get up under that mat. They're never where you found them in practice. But as far back here as they were, they got to be somewhere close. I just got to see if I can find them. The wind's changing direction every day, so they could be moving anywhere. Just not quite sure why those fish aren't there. Everything conditions-wise says they ought to be in there. Maybe they wanted some attractant. Get them fired up. Let's go see if I can attract one. I was worried about that all day yesterday because the wind blew hard out of the south yesterday, and today it's hard out of the north. So this is about as protected an area as you can get, but it still got influenced by that wind yesterday. They're still around here. It's just whether I got time to find them. It's the only thing when you lock through, if they're not where you expect them to be, then you're short on time for searching. Still enough water under this mat. I ought to be getting bit. I don't get it. That one fish, he was right where he was supposed to be. He got on it quick too. Yep. I told you to get the net like I was fishing in another tournament. No, I don't have a net. That was just a reflex. Well, he's not big, but he did bite. Number 2. 3 more bites. Got to get a little bigger though. It's a good sign. Right back where I caught the first one. Different part of the area, but I had some bites in practice that I'm pretty confident were big fish. I just get 2 or 3 of them to go with a couple of keepers. It'll be all right. He was just kind of laying in the middle of the little ditch there. Feels like there's an old tree or something down there that fish was in. Get him working. Not very big. Supposed to be getting bigger, they're getting smaller, but that is number 3. I'm not gonna complain. I thought it was a big one when I set the hook. There's 3, 2 more. I don't know why they're hanging out right there, but as long as they're willing to bite, I'll keep catching them. Just a little ditch right there. It's a nice thing about having a power pole on a windy day. You can just sit here, fish for a minute, and then pull them up and drift a little bit and fish some more. They may have come out from under the mat and be trying to spawn in these pad stems. I saw one of those pad stems knocking around a while ago. Well, like in here, the only place I could get bit was under these mats. And now in the tournament, the 3 bites that I have had have been out in this open water stuff. So I don't really have any more of this type of stuff that I know, like that's a particular place I can get bit like this. So I gotta kind of work my way through it, see if there's any more stuff right in here I can get bit just fishing. Just casting around this stuff instead of punching the mat. There was one really good mat right up here, but it looks like it's blown away. But I'm still gonna go see if there's enough left to get a bite.
Let's bring our next angler in. He's fishing his second Bassmaster Classic. He hails from Wetumpka, Alabama, Greg Vinson.
Here he comes. I told you about that tradition, ladies and gentlemen. Have a baby, big things happen at the very next tournament. 2 weeks ago, Greg Vinson became a papa, proud papa. Got something to show us? 17 pounds, 12 ounces, Team Yamaha skiing pro Greg Vinson is leading the 42nd Bassmaster Classic. Shaq Daddy Super Bass for the Rooster.
weight right now, 5 pounds, 10 ounces. That one comes in at 5'6". Unfortunately, not going to take over Carhartt Big Bass.
But dude, right now, watching online, I'm sure your brand new baby and wife watching this deal, you think they should book a ticket and get over here?
Well, let's not get it into the game yet. You know, there's 3 steps to this whole process, but you know, you can't win the Classic on the first day, but you can sure lose it, you know, and I thought about that a lot, and I had an area where I've been getting some quality bites, but I wasn't getting that many in practice. And it's just a beautiful little area, and actually I had it all to myself today, and that's a luxury right now, and that's one reason I had a good limit today. But I went to my best part, and it's a real small area, not much bigger than the size of my boat, and I caught one little small keeper off of it, and that was it. And I pitched and fished and fished and fished, and nothing happened, and I got really discouraged. But the way it's set up, I knew those fish were there, so I decided to start moving around and relax, and I caught about a 3 1/4 pound fish off something I hadn't been bit on the 2 times I've been in there in practice, and I knew what those fish were doing then. And then for about 2 hours straight, it was a whack fest. So I'm hoping they'll still be in there, and hopefully I'll have that area to myself again tomorrow. And I think it's something that if the weather changes and the cold front affects them, I can still be able to catch them.
Now, you've heard about, you know, the story. If you have a baby, you come to a tournament, you do really good, and you win a big paycheck. Do you believe?
Right now I do.
Do you believe you can do it, ladies and gentlemen? All right, go get rigged. We'll see you up here again tomorrow.
All right, guys, you want to talk about an emotional roller coaster? This was day 1 of the 2012 Bassmasters Classic, my second Classic appearance. And, you know, from start to finish, it was a wild and crazy day. You know, we got down to the launch this morning, and the crowd there was just unbelievable. And, I mean, it was cold and windy and miserable, and all these bass fishing fans were there. And that was a cool deal to see that many people, you know, come out in those kind of conditions that early on a work day and support bass fishing. But got off to a little rocky start. Had a little issue with my ignition switch, kind of got me rattled for just a split second. It was nothing big, you know, just a little minor deal, and we got that set up and made the run down to the first lock, and everything clicked real well. We got into the lock. We were like 3rd boat in the lock, which meant we'd be the 3rd one coming out, and maybe just a few miles down the river, I got in front of the pack and got to choose the spot I wanted to fish. And, you know, after an hour and a half or whatever, finally got to start fishing in that area and pulled right up there and caught a good keeper right off the bat. And I thought, okay, it's on. You know, they're still here right where I left them. And then maybe an hour later, I was still stuck with that one little fish, and I thought it was just going to be, you know, just an awful, you know, day and an awful tournament for me. And, you know, that's the amazing thing about fishing is it can turn around. You know, you fish an 8-hour day or whatever, but in just a few short minutes, things can turn around. And I got one key bite. I caught about that 3-pound fish on a spinnerbait, and it was in a different part of that area where I had found them in practice, and it really told me what they were doing, and it helped me make the adjustments. And I started keying on those fish or those isolated stumps. The water had warmed up some in that area, so they had moved up on those flats, on those little isolated stumps. And man, I mean, once I got the deal going there for about an hour and a half, it was hot and heavy. Each one of those stumps, you know, had a fish on it. That's where the big fish, that 5, 6, man, you talking about heart pumping, jumping out of your chest, you know, emotional day, man. That's what I'll say. And so after day 1, I'm 1 ounce out of the lead in the Bassmasters Classic, and I feel really good about the area. I caught a lot of fish in there today, and I feel like there's a lot more there. So I'm excited to go back out tomorrow and see what happens. We're going to have a cold night tonight. Now, last night wasn't quite as cold, but tonight's going to be really cold. It's going to be calm, and it's going to be sunny. So may have to change up my techniques a little bit, but I think they're still there, and I'm looking forward to going and catching them and trying to put myself in the driver's seat to win this Classic here in 2012. The only thing constant about fishing is change, and that also applies to the leaderboard. And the only bad thing about coming in early and weighing in is you have the lead for a little while, but you're always subject to somebody jumping you, and that's what happened. So I came in, and I think I was on the leaderboard with Bass Track where they follow our weights all day long. I was the leader on there, and I came in. I actually had more weight than we estimated. And then Keith Poche, right there from our area in Montgomery, he grew up right down the street here in Natchitoches. And man, Keith had a phenomenal day too. So 2 guys from our local area right there, 1 and 2 in the Classic, you know, on day 1. And You know, it kind of sucks being second. You know, I wanted to be the leader after day one, but I tell you what, I'd much rather be the leader on Sunday than on Friday. So we'll see what happens.